All right, today we're gonna do, I'm gonna teach you how to use the graphing calculator to solve all those different types of equations and inequalities. So I just want to take a little walk through these old problems. If you were not able to use the calculator, how would you have solved this problem? This was one of your test questions from last week.
Break it into two problems.
What two problems would you break this into?
X plus 4 equals 5x minus 2, and then x plus 4 equals negative 5x plus 2.
And x plus 4 equals negative 5x plus 2, right?
Yes.
Okay, then, how do you solve these?
You solve them.
Subtract x and add 2. So you get 6 equals 4x. What's x equal to? 3/2. 6 divided by 4 is 3/2. How about this side right here? Add 5x, subtract 4, and what's x? Simplify it. So we have these two answers, right? Now, what did I tell you to do on these problems? Check for extraneous solutions. If you were to plug these two answers, possible answers in, you would find that this one does not work. Why is this one extraneous?
Well, not.
Because when you plug this negative 1/3 in, you're going to get a negative number minus a negative number is a negative number. And when you take the absolute value of anything, you're not going to get a negative number. So this ends up being extraneous. Now, let's use our graphing calculator to figure out the answer. So without doing all this hard work, how are we going to type this in our calculator? Based on what we learned yesterday. Okay, what are we going to type in? We're going to add a graph. Okay, now how do you type the absolute value? That button next to the 9. And we're going to type in x plus 4. You guys with me? X plus 4. And then outside of the absolute value, what are you going to type in?
Minus 5x plus 2.
I heard minus 5x plus 2. Why? Because you want to set it equal to 0.
Plus 2.
Are you with me? Next, what do I do? Hit enter.
Bang.
Bang, there's your answer. Where is my answer?
Right where that is.
It's right there. Guess what that answer is?
3.5.
1.5.
Oh my god.
Now, where's that other answer?
It's extraneous. It's not.
It's
gonna hit it.
extraneous. It's not going to show up. So, let's review. How do you find that answer? You hit menu, analyze graph. We're going to calculate the 0. The lower bound, we're going to say it's 1. And the upper bound, let's say 3. And there it is, 1.5. Amazing. Okay? Let's take a look at the example 3. Last week, how were you supposed to solve this on your test? What were you supposed to do? Break this up into what? 2 problems. What are the 2 problems? Okay, and x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals what? Negative 2. Now, what were you supposed to do last week? Set each of these equal to 0. So you have x squared plus 4x and then minus 5. And then what were you supposed to do? Factor. Plus 5 and minus 1, right? So what are your 2 answers so far? Negative 5 and 1. How about on this side? What were you supposed to do? Add 2. And then what do you do? Can I factor this one like I did here? No. So at this point, you were supposed to do the quadratic or complete the square. to find the other two possible answers. So what are we gonna do at this point? We're gonna take our calculator and you are going to add a new graph. We're not gonna save that. What are you gonna type in? We're gonna type in absolute value, x squared plus 4x minus 3, and then do what? Minus 2, good. Hit graph or enter. Wow, do you see 4 answers there? Guess what 2 of the answers are? What's that answer that I'm pointing to? -5 and guess what these 2 answers are? That part that we had to use the quadratic formula for. So now, would you all be able to figure out these 4 answers?
Yeah.
Okay. What are these 2 answers gonna look like? They're gonna be decimals. Okay, and you can easily figure that out. So how would you do that? Menu, analyze graph, 0, and so forth. And figure out, you wanna find each one of them. There's one of them, and then you're gonna do your boundaries for that. And then do this one, left and right. And I like to go from left to right. I like to find my zeros from left to right. Did anyone find the 2 answers yet that were missing? Anyone get them? Anyone have them yet? So what are the 4 answers? -5, 1, and then what else? -4.2 what? 3? Or 4? Okay, and what's the other one? What's the other one? 0.24. Sounds good. Next one. How did we do this one by hand? We subtracted and then what did we do? We squared both sides. What did you get on this side? 3x minus 11, but what did you get on this side? Not x squared plus 25, because that's what a lot of people wrote.
X squared minus 10x plus 25.
Good job. Then what are you supposed to do from here? Set it equal to 0. I like to set this side equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract 3x, and I'm going to add 11 to both sides. Subtract 3x and add 11. So what you should get is x squared minus 13x plus 36. Now, do you know how this factors?
9.
Did I do it right? Why do they have to both be negative? Because I want them to multiply to give me a positive 36, and I want them to add to be a negative 13. So what are my 2 answers? 9 and 4. Now, I have to check for extraneous solutions on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and take a second, and I'm going to type this in my calculator and see what happens. So I'm going to add a new graph, not going to save that one, and quickly type in 5 plus the square root of 3x minus 11, and then what? And then what? Minus x. And when I hit enter, I only see one answer. Guess what answer that one is? 9. Why do you think 4 doesn't show up? It's extraneous. Okay. Now this one, do you remember how we did this problem? You guys didn't like this one.
No.
What did you do? We're going to add this to the other side. And this is the one where we're going to have to square both sides. So you get 2x minus 3 equals 4 plus 4 root x plus 7 plus x plus 7. And then what did we do? Our job was to get this by itself, and then we had to square this radical how many times? Twice. We did it once here, and we have to do it again. We're not going to do that. We're going to use our calculator. So how are you going to type this in your calculator? Type this in your calculator and tell me what answer you get. So I've got square root 2x minus 3 minus square root x plus 7, and then what? Minus 2. Now when you graph this one, I think this one's off the page. It is. It's off the page. So what are we going to do now?
Zoom.
We're going to zoom out. So hit menu and go to window, zoom, and we're going to zoom out. And then I want you to hit that enter again and again and again until you see it hitting the actual x-axis. So now, they tell us that this number is, can you guys see that? This is 80. So it's going from 0 to 80. So it's hitting the x-axis somewhere here. So these are actually not going by ones. This is going by what? Fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80.
Sure.
So we want to find the 0 now. So we're going to go to menu, analyze graph, and we're going to find the 0. What do you want to say the lower bound is? 20. I'm just guessing. Enter, and we're going to do 50. Enter. And guess what our 0 is?
42.
42. Isn't that cool?
So cool.
So 42 is your answer. And the last one, we're just going to jump right into technology. How would you solve this one? We're going to set just the numerator equal to 0. And tell me what the two answers are. Six x squared